Thanks for the introduction, Ty. As Ty said, I am the product leader here, also involved in many other aspects of the seed business. You'll catch me on sales quite a bit, customer relations, and other parts of the business. So excited to present some new products here today. And every year there are new genetics that become available to us. We try to bring in the latest and greatest in terms of yields, quality, and disease resistance, and other agronomic traits that are a benefit to our customers. And so often that means we're out with the old and in with the new. And so today I'm going to highlight some of these new products and give an indication as to what some of the products they have replaced are. We've got a few new Timothys in our lineup. We got a tall fescue from Barenbrug that Adam and Luke talked about. We have a new organic sorghum sedan, a forage sorghum product, and then quite a few new forage and cover crop legume species, being peas, some alfalfa blends. I'm going to touch on some new product names. We like to keep people on their toes, so we have a few new names of products that we changed. And then finally, a crimson clover, red clover, lentil, fava bean, and Nebraska species to touch on. If somebody has a specific product here, as I go throughout this, feel free to raise your hand. We can try to address them since they're kind of product-based, slide by slide here. It might be better to touch on those questions as we go. I did want to give a shout out to the Barenbrug products in our lineup. I won't be talking about all of these today. Adam and Luke did a pretty good job of highlighting some of their featured products. We have a fairly significant lineup of Barenbrug products here. I've listed them all. I'm not going to go over them. I will say that we also have many of these species in our blends. So our stock, hay, and pasture mixtures feature quite a few of these species. If there's something from Barenbrug that is missing from our product lineup that you really feel is something you'd like to have on your farm, feel free to reach out to us. We're always interested in feedback and considering new things. And specifically, we don't have the novel endophyte products in our lineup yet. They have been largely more important in the southern regions, but as I think Adam touched on, there is a demand and justification where the use of those products are expanding north. So stay tuned. It could be something that we feature here in years to come. So as we look at our product lineup, we try to make sure we have the best products that are available for our customers. You saw the extensive product lineup from Barenbrug, and we're not exclusive to Barenbrug. So although Luke and Adam and all the guys at Barenbrug are a bunch of good guys, we really like their products. We're not exclusive to them, and so we do have products that are from other breeding programs and other companies. So we're proud to have a diverse portfolio that has diversity from many different places. One of those new products is Carson Timothy. And Carson Timothy comes out of the Mountain View breeding program. And it was mentioned in the Barenbrug talk that some of these old forage products date back more than a half a century. Climax Timothy is one that was introduced in 1947. Has largely dominated the market and historically has been by far, we've sold more pounds of Climax Timothy than any other. It's fairly cheap, it's highly produced. And over the years, folks don't seem to be as concerned about their Timothy genetics as maybe other grass species, but there's good reason to be focused on improved Timothy. So introducing Carson Timothy here. It is an earlier maturing Timothy. The benefit of an earlier maturing Timothy might be counterintuitive. Usually we like late maturing grasses when we select orchard grass and tall fescue. But with Timothy, it's actually very late to begin with. And so a late maturing Timothy is much later than a late maturing orchard grass or a tall fescue. So when we look at Timothy to pair it up with alfalfa or other grasses, we tend to want to look at an earlier or mid-maturing Timothy, and that's what Carson is. So you can see it was about 2 weeks earlier maturing than Climax and had more yield in a New York trial. It also is a better regrowth product here compared to Climax. In the photo, you can see that there's just quite a bit more biomass after regrowth with the Carson. So excited about Carson Timothy. On the organic side, we've got organic summer graze Timothy. This product comes out of the DLF breeding program, and DLF is one of our primary suppliers of organic seed. And Summer Graze is a new one this year that has replaced Switch and Lichka. Those two products have been in our lineup for a few years. We've got a new Summer Graze here, high yielding. It's a mid-late maturing Timothy, giving about 7% more yield than Climax in some trials over 2 years in New York and Ontario. This one has an upright stature, good tolerance to lodging, well hand grazing, and as good, and primarily was selected for good winter hardiness and stand persistence. Likewise, to many of the Barenbrug products, this has improved disease resistance, especially rust and fusarium. So we have a new tall fescue in our lineup, this being the Bar Elite. I don't think I need to spend a lot of time here. Luke gave good description of Bar Elite. I would just mention it is our most premium soft leaf tall fescue in our lineup. So for somebody who's looking for that very high forage quality, reduced lignin, excellent for hay or pasture, take a close look at Bar Elite. And I will add that it is a component of the STF 43 tall fescue, which is a blended product from Barenbrug. And you see the same image here that Barenbrug showed of those barbs on the leaf. We've just got a smoother, softer leaf tall fescue with the Bar Elite. Okay, shifting gears here to warm season forages. We've got a couple new products. Then the first one here is an organic BMR sorghum Sudan grass. So though we have had quite a few BMR sorghum Sudan grasses as organic seed in our lineup for quite a few years, it's been quite some time since we've had a brachytic dwarf sorghum Sudan, which this product is. So brachytic dwarfing is a sorghum Sudan with short internodes. So we've got a more compact plant. Those leaves are much closer together, makes for a better standing plant, less likely to lodge. Since this is the high leaf to stem ratio, that's really increasing your forage quality, and it might seem like a shorter plant's going to yield less, but that's actually not been the case. Most brachytic dwarf sorghum Sudans has maintained stable yields compared to their non-brachytic counterparts. This is a BMR 6 sorghum Sudan. For those who are paying attention to that, it is a medium maturity. This is a very highly versatile hybrid, adaptable for multiple cuttings, or if you're looking to do grazing. It is particularly well suited to grazing with that brachytic dwarf trait. As animals and cattle move through that field, you've got a shorter plant that they're less likely to trample. And so you're just getting a higher percentage of those plants that are being actively and successfully grazed compared to a much taller non-brachytic plant. It does have very good disease resistance, and that it's got a really high seedling vigor, which makes it well suited for no-till. That would be the organic Blue River 236. Backed by popular demand is a BMR male sterile forage sorghum. 2023 production season for seed was a really challenging year for forage sorghums, and unfortunately, we were not able to provide a BMR male sterile product for 2024 sales. Last year, the product that we offered was the Viking 402, which was not a BMR, but this year we have both of those products, and the 404 is in the lineup, again, with the BMR trait. That BMR just gives you superior digestibility because of the reduced amount of lignin. And as farmers in the north here look for a forage sorghum, the maturity is very important. We want to look for something with at least a medium maturity. Since we have shorter summers, we have less heat units, you can get into trouble with the late maturity forage sorghum. So we put quite a bit of effort into finding this particular hybrid with a medium maturity that can fit our geography. What's so important about male sterile? A male sterile will head out, so you will see a flower head, but those flowers will not produce seed. Therefore, that plant is going to maintain a very high forage quality because it's not converting those sugars into starch. And since that forage quality is being maintained, you can let it grow in the field for a longer period of time, allowing you to produce or create higher yields and biomass. Expect this hybrid to get 7 to 8 feet tall. These are not new mixtures, but they are new names. So we've got 3 pre-mix hay mixes here, which are alfalfa-based hay mixes that have some new names going into 2025. The first one, what has been known as Organic Dairy Pro, has been renamed to Organic Premium Pro. And since this product has been recognized as a really high quality mix with a wider application than just dairy operations, we felt it deserved a name change. Since this is a good choice for dairy, beef, sheep, or goat forage needs. So pay attention to that name change. And likewise, on the conventional side of things, our Holstein Pro, for the same reason as the Dairy Pro, has been renamed to Elite Pro. And I will give a shout out to that blend itself and a bit of a revised composition. It has 2 of our premium alfalfa varieties from Legacy, being the 374 HD and the 394 AP, that Dave from Legacy will highlight in just a minute. And the grass component of that is 5% meadow fescue and 5% tall fescue. And the shift there is that the meadow fescue replaces orchard grass. So the 2 species now being meadow fescue and tall fescue. And the last change I'll highlight is that Haymaker has been renamed to Haylage Pro. Since this mix is best for haylage or baleage, we felt like the Haylage Pro name is better suited to its use. This contains one of our best-selling alfalfas and is complemented with cool season grasses, and then also ruby red clover, and that's the red clover is what makes it a little slower to dry, which tends to be a mix that's better, which more likely to be used for haylage. You can make dry hay with this, but you need to make sure you have proper management if you're doing so. Okay, an exciting new alfalfa blend this year is our Flex Pro. There has been growing interest in synergistic products like this that have a root morphology that are exploring various segments of the soil profile. So alfalfas can have either branch root, or they can have taproot, or they can have creeping root. And in this variety, we've got alfalfas that have all 3. You can see the components here, the first 2 being 90% of the 374 and the 394. Those 2 varieties have both branch root traits and taproot traits. So some of the plants in that population are branch and some are taproot. And then we've added an exciting new creeping root alfalfa called the Viking 350 CR. And creeping root is an alfalfa that keeps those roots real high in the soil profile. And the primary area where those types of products are used are in pasture or areas where there's a high water table or challenges with high moisture levels in the soil. So we've got, as the picture shows here, we now have an alfalfa blend with plants that are exploring the entire root profile just to give you a more highly resistant and persistent alfalfa stand. So take a look at Flex Pro. We think it's going to be a good product, especially for those fields that might have some potholes or wet areas where those creeping roots will provide some benefit. We can also offer this new alfalfa as a standalone product. As I mentioned, the 350 CR. This is a very high yielding, improved creeping root alfalfa compared to what we used to offer was Matrix. Matrix was a fairly old genetics, not necessarily a great yielder. Definitely has application for pasture. But with this 350, you can rest assured it's going to give you pretty strong yields in a hayfield environment. All right, moving on to some clovers. Shogun red clover is an exciting red clover this year. This is a multi-cut red clover. The primary placement of this red clover, the reason that we're bringing it forth to our customers is really as a plow down species that you would frost seed into winter wheat, or that you would underseed into a spring small grain like oats or barley or even spring wheat. This variety shows really high biomass potential in the year in which you seed it. And it also has fast establishment and recovery after you cut it. So how is this better than just VNS medium red clover? It really comes down to nitrogen fixation. The whole point in planting a red clover is to get nitrogen. And if we can have something that really has a lot of biomass, can get faster established, that overall opportunity for more nitrogen does have a lot of value for the producer. So it's at a competitive price point that we feel is going to be of good value to you. So take a look at Shogun red clover. On the annual side, we've got a new crimson clover called Majestic. This crimson clover caught my eye a year ago simply because I saw this picture and I thought, holy smokes, we gotta take a look at this. Dixie crimson clover has been dominating the market for decades. Most of the crimson clover traded as Dixie. As Luke pointed out, some of these products go back a long time, and Dixie was introduced in 1953. So you can imagine some of the benefits of modern genetics, even in something like crimson clover. So we see improved winter hardiness with Majestic. Now we need to understand what that means. So is it going to overwinter in Minnesota or Iowa or Wisconsin or the Dakotas? Most likely not. But for some areas in a little bit more southern areas where overwintering of crimson clover is likely, the benefit of having a really strong hardiness species there is really valuable. So it's got a strong history in Indiana and Kansas. This one is particularly selected for high forage yields and disease resistance and really strong regrowth. So you can see there Dixie on the left, coming out of winter, a fairly weak stand, poor regrowth compared to Majestic on the right. I would just give a shout out to Bailey Seed, which is an Oregon genetic provider, seed producer, has allowed us to bring Majestic forward for our customers. Got a couple new peas in our lineup. Featuring here is a forage pea, which is the CM073. This pea was launched from a cooperation of Montech Group and Lima Grain. And you can see here in the photo, this is a Montana production field, a very nice looking stand there, capping on at about 4.5 feet. This is going to give you a real strong forage yield. And the big kicker here is standability. So 4010 is really a great pea. It produces a lot of biomass, but it can tend to lodge, which is one of the downsides of it. We're expecting to see better stand out of the CM073. We're launching this as a conventional, or an organic pea this year. And it could be that this product has additional offering in conventional seed in future years. The second new pea we have is Montech 4193. It is our conventional yellow grain pea. This one has replaced our Delta pea. Like the previous pea we saw, the 073, the big feature here is improved standability. And it also has very strong yields. We've seen proven performance in trials in the Dakotas and in Nebraska. and has competed well with DS Admiral. DS Admiral has been a very long-standing yellow pea in our lineup. Currently, we offer it as our organic yellow pea. We expect Montech to perform very well against the DS Admiral and potentially replace it in the future. I should also say this is product that can perform well in irrigated areas, which gives an indication that it can move into higher rainfall regions and still stand well and be harvestable. We've got the wild winter pea, and though not new this year, it was new in 2024. And wild winter peas are one of the most cold hardy winter peas on the market. When we looked at bringing in an improved winter pea, a lot of consideration was given to the different genetic products on the market. And wild winter really rose to the top in terms of hardiness. It has performed well in some Wisconsin trials, where we've seen wild winter peas, along with some experimental winter peas. And I bring that up because it's pretty exciting for some of these cover crop species to have some breeding and evaluation area efforts in the upper Midwest. And we have decided to license a new winter pea, which won't be released for a few years, but through that work with Wisconsin, we're looking to launch a new pea in the future. For now, we have wild winter pea, which has shown very well in their trials. And the areas where we expect wild winter peas and winter peas in general today to overwinter would be in the Northeast, Iowa, that's probably southern parts of Iowa, southern Wisconsin, and then areas east and south of those states. I would not expect to get reliable hardiness in Minnesota or areas north of here. One key point to getting winter peas to overwinter is making sure you plant them deep. 2 to 3 inches is best. And certainly if you get good snow cover, is going to help a lot. Winter peas are real ideal for forage, cover crop, and then also for wildlife food plot use. As the name would suggest, this one was bred with an effort at the University of Wyoming and the Wyoming Ag Experiment Station. And I should note that this picture I actually took in Wisconsin, so we did see wild winter peas overwintering there. They do trial work there where they surround the peas with triticale, and that triticale helps protect those plants through the winter. It traps snow and allows for better conditions for survival. We've got a new fava bean. This is a pretty exciting release this year. Felix fava beans come out of Valesco Genetics, and fava beans are really large seed species. Most VNS fava beans have around 1,400 seeds per pound, which starts to be, a large seed like that makes it pretty challenging to use in a cover crop mixes, because you're dealing with such species of a large difference in seed size. And especially if you're looking at broadcast, large seeds generally don't broadcast and establish very well. And so there is this desire to seek and offer a fava bean with higher seeds per pound, and that is Felix. So we've got Felix available where you're seeing seed counts as high as 1,900 per pound. For those who aren't familiar with fava beans, it's an excellent cool season annual legume, often planted in the spring or in the fall with a really good potential for nitrogen fixation. We do have a new lentil this year, being the Morton lentil. This replaces the small seeded black lentil in our lineup. Morton lentils are a fairly short-growing legume species, but like the black lentils, the Morton lentils are also relatively small seeded. So we got that high seed count that makes it a good choice for cover cropping. Morton is actually considered a winter lentil, but I would not expect good winter survival in the upper Midwest. This specific variety, the breeders indicated it was bred for direct seeding or minimum tillage cropping, which would imply it has pretty strong seedling vigor. which to me means it's a good lentil for cover crop use. All right, and the last product I will touch on here, and I'll open up for questions, is the Pacer Forage Brassica. Pacer Forage Brassica is a cross between turnips and forage. Brassica, it says forage. I think that should say rape. Sorry about that. This was bred as a replacement for Paja, which has been in our lineup for a few years. We're seeing increased yield, improved regrowth, and reduced bolting between grazings with Pacer compared to Paja. And this is one of the few brassicas that have limited bolting, so you can plant it earlier and maintain production throughout the season. If you planted, say, dwarf Essex rapeseed or kale, or even radish, and you tried to plant it in June, the plant would most likely bolt. It would produce a seed head, and you would get limited forage value for that. And Pacer Forage Brassica is one that has better heat and drought tolerance and better resistance to bolting. So nice addition to our brassica lineup. And that is all I have for you folks today.
All right, thank you, Matt. Yeah, no, was great to kind of go through it and kind of highlight stuff that we are coming down and everything for people who haven't received the catalogs yet. And they are on the way. I guess one thing is, which product are you looking forward to having the most this year?
What's the most exciting?
Yes.
There seems to be a lot of buzz on Shogun red clover. So because it's frost eating season, that one has caught some attention and really looking at the benefits for producers with Shogun. But there's too many to choose from.
It's a good problem to have. All right. So don't see any more questions here. It looks like we did have some comments here from Mary Howell, one of our dealers, that the plant winter peas with winter triticale. That helps with the winter survival. And also, they plant winter lentils up there in upstate New York, and they are surviving fairly reliably up there, she says. So that's good to hear.